Oh, shoot. Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. As soon as I can get my shot fixed, my name is Roddykat, and you can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News Need on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
South Carolina with Columbia down the way.
There we go. And the sound effects you've heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn, @agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram.
What's up, everybody? Co-hosting and representing the borough of Kings.
Straight up Brooklyn in the house, representing Brooklyn.
Straight from Brooklyn, better known as Brooklyn.
Yeah, I'm just sort of feeling myself today, folks.
Just a little bit, but how is that different from every other day? What up, Bidgy Games 2? Good to have you here, sir, as always.
What's going on?
You can find this here podcast on the Coastal Podcast Network, that's ESPN.us.
Do it today.
You could also find us on your podcast place of choice, whether it be Google Play or Apple iTunes, Spotify, or the Coastal Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts, because it does matter.
Ding, 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 ding. And you can find us recording every Thursday night, mostly every Thursday night, 9:30ish Eastern Standard Time, on the YouTube channel of the Kliq Nation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Again, please hit like, subscribe. Make sure to click the subscription button so that you know, the notification button so that you know when we are on live and recording as we are right now.
So, folks, we it's has been an eventful week in television. Let us say, because we got the premiere 2 episodes of Star Wars Ahsoka, which we are going to start talking about now. The first episode is called Master and Apprentice, and the second one is called Toil and Trouble.
So, just for the folks who sometimes watch these things all at once when they're all released, for the folks who are just a little bit behind, maybe you're out of town and you don't have access to Disney Plus just yet, I'm going to ring the spoiler bell just for you. We're not going to spoil anything too heavily so you can listen, but we will probably tread into some spoiler territory, so you are forewarned. Spoilers incoming in 3, 2, 1.
So yeah, okay. So before we actually get into it, which we're like I just said, we're not going to necessarily spoil it too much, but I'm just going to bring up one little ditty that's in the news about the show, in that which we're going to bring up anyway. So we originally thought that Star Wars Ahsoka was going to start on Wednesdays, like stuff has been doing, but apparently sometime in the last week or two that got moved up a day. So Ahsoka is going to be coming out on Tuesdays and not Wednesdays, and of course, like I said, we have the 2-episode premiere Tuesday night. So while we do still have at least a couple of more days, that of between the time we record and the thing, we're still not going to really spoil anything. But hey, that's just a little bit of news that we're
it's really only it comes down to one more day, right. And that day is a big difference because we can kind of absorb it, maybe even rewatch it. Before we actually record and broadcast. So, it does make some difference, but ultimately, as I said, we're not going to spoil it too much. I think my observations, I have two kind of big observations that, one is a mild spoiler, one is not. The mild spoiler observation that I had is that we were thrown a bit of a curveball. Sorry to bring in a sports ball metaphor, but we were thrown a curveball here in the sense that for fans of Rebels who were given the idea that this might pick up roughly when Rebels kind of ends, that's not the case. It's a fake out.
And I love that. I love that was the case.
Right. What it is what happens is that Filoni, and we have to let Filoni cook here. That is the new rule. Filoni is cooking here. He may not be on all the burners right now, but he's definitely cooking right now. And what I'll say is he cleverly faked us all out by reenacting some aspects of the Rebels finale, but unbeknownst to us, these events were not exactly in immediate sequential order. That being the ending of Rebels and the scenes that we were treated to in the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka. So that is the one observation I have in terms of, the story being told. The second observation I have is something I shared with Roddykat, where the 3 lead actresses, this is my opinion, try to cancel me, come at me. The 3 lead actresses, when they're on the screen together, were almost distractingly beautiful to me. But that's just me.
I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. So I'm going to say that to kind of slightly counter something that Agent 70 said, but I think Filoni's been cooking this whole time. Because maybe I'm giving him too much credit, because I would have to believe that he kind of had this already in the pot from way back in Rebels, maybe even Clone Wars. Who know? Well, I don't, maybe not Clone Wars, but Rebels probably, definitely. And when he went back and did season 7 of Clone Wars, or whatever the case may be. But I think some of the stuff's probably been cooking just a little bit, and that part might have been one of them. That being said, if you are a fan of Star Wars Rebels, then you will get a treat out of these 2 episodes. Like, yes, there has been some flap about portrayals being different from the animated series, which is kind of going to stand to reason, especially when you're using different people in the roles of the animated piece. And I know people probably still have a problem with that in itself, which it's I admit it would have been cool to see Ashley Eckstein and oh shoot, I forgot the girl's name. Who the young lady that played Sabine.
Tia Bird.
Thank you. Yes.
Tia Sircar, actually.
Tia Sircar, yes.
Tia Bird is her, I think her Instagram, Tia Sircar.
Yes. Would love to see them reprise their roles in live action, because let's face it, they are just as attractive. But that has nothing to do with that as far as we know at all. So the differences here is pretty much the portrayals here are kind of more paced than they would be in the animated realm, partially because you're using different people, but I guess also because of the nature of live action. They can't easily do the exact same stuff that they were doing in animation, as far as action and or portrayals, because sometimes some things don't map one-to-one on it. That being said, we not only got a curveball that the curveball that Agent 70 mentioned, but we also got one from from a character that while we did not know too much about when we first met this character, we I don't know if Agent 70 felt this way about it, but we pretty much got a curveball about what we knew about an adversary of Ahsoka's that we had met that comes back into play in this show.
Right. No, I got that. I got that. Very, let's just say tying this character into a particular Sith apprentice who finds himself in half a lot.
Or yes, that and or a sect of force wielders from the Clone Wars that kind of had a bit of a an arc per se, but then not for reasons. If you're not up in your Clone Wars, then I can't. I don't want to. It wouldn't be spoiler thing if I mentioned it, but it would be spoiler for this. Is the revelation that we found out in this thing. We also get introduced to a couple of other force wielders, which if you've seen the trailers, you've already seen them now. One played by the late Ray Stevenson, who and they I guess is not necessarily a spoiler but is, I guess, if you feel it to be, but they do give them a little bit of a message,
right. It's this is being done in his honor, in his memory. So
because this was the last thing he ended up doing before he passed. So they dedicated to the first episode to him, which I gotta say that the given like the recent Star Wars stuff that we have been getting, these two are significantly lengthy, and I appreciated it. As far as length of time, and I hope they kind of keep up. I can't remember how many episodes it's probably in the article, but yeah, it was some good stuff. Like I said, Rebels fans, you're in for a treat. Ahsoka fans, it's still debatable because I know there are some people who be like, well, are they going to pretty much, screw up all the goodwills? I heard somebody saying that the character has gotten in this. I'm like, I don't see that happening, and the Filoni's at the helm, so I mean, at the controls, so I can't see that happening. I've been pretty much taking this to say that, hey, the Filoni verse is back, which realistically it kind of never left, given some of the things we've gotten, but it's in full effect now, or back in full effect now with this show. So I am looking forward to the next episodes to see what happened. But yeah, we got a good bit that happens here. There's I will probably mention this again to Agent 70. There was a part at the end of the first episode that I was like, well, I already see what's coming. And sure enough, it happened.
Right.
You hated to see it, but you kind of felt it was going to happen. But doesn't necessarily end the way a similar situation would have happened. Normally happens in Star Wars. So, interestingly enough, for that, I don't know if I want to get into anything specific about the shows, but yeah, like for the most part, I enjoyed them. Like, yes, the difference in the portrayals is noticeable. For Ahsoka and Sabine, but they are not as, despite their attractiveness, they are not as distracting as it would feel. And Agent 70 asked me before the show, would aside of that, would people need to know a good bit about Rebels before going into this? And I would say yes.
Yeah, I find that's probably a barrier to entry. I think. I think you need to probably consult a wiki, just to get yourself caught up on some of these characters. If you are not if you're not as familiar with the Filoni side of the Star Wars universe as we are, or as many people are.
Right. Or
that's just a suggestion.
Right. Or I have seen at least one video basically chronicling Ahsoka's journey from beginning to now. As a matter of fact, one as of recent, maybe I'll try to put one in the show notes. So those are out there also if you just want to, get the Cliff Notes version. But Rebels is good. Clone Wars is good. So I mean, if you claim to be a Star Wars fan and don't like either one of those, I'm not sure what to tell you. Because that's
right.
That's
and
sad.
if you claim you don't have time, you may want to start making some.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If you feel that way, like I said, the Cliff Notes version is there for right now. Then you can always backtrack and backtracking and fill in the blanks on the nitty and the gritty. So, rest assured, there is some things. There is at the very least one or two new things that we find out in this show. One, or at the very least one, that's probably going to bridge go lead in as a bridge to what we got as the sequel trilogy. As also whatever Filoni's cooking up as the Endgame Infinity War movie that he's planning to do with all of these characters that he's cooking up. So we shall see though. That being said, I don't know what else. You got something else you want to?
No. Like I said, we're not going to spoil it. I wanted to mention that one kind of big curveball. I think the other big curveball is a little too spoilery to discuss, but it is involved with that kind of gap in time. Let's say.
Yeah. Which that may, like I said, if you are up on your Rebels, that may or may not be apparent, or it may not, because it will definitely make you think when you see a thing or two. But yeah, it was great to see these characters. It was great to see a couple of characters that are with them, especially one from the Clone Wars, who, I wasn't actually expecting to see.
Right.
But well, I mean, outside of we knew they were going to be there for the trailer, but still, the definitely, I'm expecting at the very least, I would hope at least see another Rebels cameo or happen, because we already got him in The Mandalorian, so I can't expect that they're just going to leave that there. But if that's the case, I guess. I mean, I wasn't too crazy about the character in the first place, but still, it would be cool to see him, a kind of a makeshift Rebels reunion in here, since especially with what they're kind of going for with this.
Sure.
What else I was going to say? Yeah, that was it. Whatever. I'm sure what we'll have to say. We'll come back up. Definitely shout out to David Tennant is in this as a character who that's slightly spoilers, but it also goes back to what I was saying. But yeah, I'm going to shut up before I say too much about this. But because I'm just realized, I was like, dang, I could just talk about this and this and this and this and this, but no.
No, that's what I'm saying. I was like, no, we're cutting this off right now.
Yeah, watch it. If you're a fan of Ahsoka and Rebels, you should definitely watch this. That is the bottom line here. I'm looking forward to the next episode. Period. That being said, we're going to go and talk very quickly about last week's My Adventures with Superman, and it won't take much to talk about this because we got I guess something they've been hinting at, which looks to be I don't know if this is the if it is supposed to be this version of the Suicide Squad or a proto version of the Suicide Squad, but we kind of got that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we got Clark ends up getting one of his finding out about one of his new abilities, because he's still, like you said, like we've said in the past, kind of learning about his abilities. So he's gaining them one by one, as it were, which ends up being a problem for him. But also, we get, I guess, the introduction to a character who's probably more known in the Batman universe, and it goes a little something like,
Who is that?
Vicky Vale. Vicky Vale.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, that was a surprise sound drop right there.
Yeah, I was waiting for that one. I've had that one in the pocket for a while for another reason. But I'm not crazy about that version of Vicky Vale. I don't. This version better. And as Agent 70 said, is not Kim Basinger voicing her, which was probably a good thing. For what they were, for the portrayal they were trying to go for here. Maybe that's going to change. Who's to say we don't know. But like I said, they're doing things a little bit different in this universe. But overall, it was a pretty good episode.
Yeah, you know what? It's a big SmackDown episode. It's everybody gang up on Superman, and that was kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, and it's a cliffhanger of which part of me maybe, and I don't know, maybe something's gonna happen, because I was like, wait, it seemed like to me there should have been another revelation that happened before the end of the episode, because again, like I said, it was a cliffhanger. It's a part of two. I assume of two anyway. But I was expecting one more thing to kind of get revealed there, but that still hasn't happened yet. So I guess they're gonna tease that out a little bit more, but we'll see. Good stuff if you're checking that out, though.
Yep.
And with that, we're gonna go into the books of the week.
That we will. And I will pull up a nice transition.
And the book we are going to start off with is, sorry, I'm trying to do some typing here. Amazing Spider-Man number 32.
Amazing Spider-Man number 32 is written by Zeb Wells with art by, I'm scrolling down to my notes, with art by Patrick Gleason, colors by Marcio Meniz, and letters by VC's hardest working letterer, our favorite lettering paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. Guess what, folks? This is the immediate fallout of what happened in the last issue. There's maybe a week's worth of time that passes, and we see what has happened after that. But we open with some not so subtle making whoopee, as the newlywed game would or the dating game would put it back in the day, between not the Goblin Queen, but the Queen Goblin. They make very clear in this issue that it is in fact the Queen Goblin. So you know what? Thanks for clearing that up. And the current Kraven the Hunter. It's not Sergei Kravinoff. It's not. It's his son, I believe.
Right. Correct.
So, that partially solves one. Well, I guess what it does is that it kind of pushes the story to what we think is going to be its inevitable conclusion, or at least this inevitable development, because we know that Norman Osborn was artificially made good, and we all kind of have an idea that may not last, and we are starting to see what Wells is cooking up for the return of Norman's alter ego. And that's pretty straightforward. And I was right. that they might actually set up Pete with Janice's friend.
Yes, the hot lawyer friend.
Yes. And that it was kind of fun to see that happen in the very next issue.
Right. Well, I mean, granted, this is Peter Parker we're talking about, so his love life is kind of fraught with landmines. So if they are doing that, they are trying to subvert that expectation, or at least the expediency of that happening.
Right. Right. But it also, we also remember that it is in fact Peter Parker, and he is always at least drawing the hottest chicks, because even Felicia's like, yeah, she's hot.
Right. Well, yeah, and Felicia. I'm sure Felicia would also probably get with that. I was kind of wondering if they were going to, because especially after that, after the last issue, it's like, wait a minute.
Oh, the bachelorette party,
right? Because she spent more time with the lawyer friend than with the other folks, which for partially some obvious reasons, but so yeah, wasn't sure how that one's going to go, but it could have gone either way. So,
and I like how, speaking of subverting expectations, I like how what we thought might happen in this issue ends up happening to Spidey, and I like the teaser cover for the next issue. That they drop on the cliffhanger page, or the upcoming not the cliffhanger page, but the coming up next issue number 33. I like that. That's kind of fun.
Yes. So part of me had actually kind of figured they were going to do what they did to Spidey. I couldn't. I had nothing. I had not much to base it on, with the exception of the fact of how close Peter and Norman were getting, and and they're having quote unquote common ground in a sense. So there was really nothing that would draw any conclusions to say that, okay, this was going to happen. But part of me kind of figured this was going to happen, and maybe that's
congratulations.
I don't know. I don't know if I can.
I didn't really see it happening, but then when it happened, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like in terms of, the way they portray, this no one dies on my watch Peter from the last, say, like 5 years.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it was. I can't really take too much credit, and I haven't seen it anywhere else. But it's more like it just felt like there was a thing that would happen. So I'm I guess in a sense I'm more like you. It was like when I saw it happen, I was like, okay, yeah, sure, there you go. But that being said, this will probably be the thing that gets back to what you're saying, though.
Oh, you mean like the ultimate goal of restoring the status quo? Right.
So in that respect, it was like, okay, sure, it had to kind of happen some way, and yeah, the way things were going, it couldn't have stayed the way it were.
Not as directly as we thought it might, but yeah, in a roundabout way, it's going to get there. But as I said, the teaser for the next issue, I like that. That's a great cover. If in fact that I haven't looked at the solicitations for that issue, but it's a pretty straightforward looking John Romita Jr. cover. I like the cover because it teases, it's reminiscent of and is a callback to obviously a classic Craven Spidey storyline.
Mm-hmm. Oh, if it's actually, you know what? I didn't look at that, but if it's the same one that they mentioned in the story, then yes.
Oh yeah, of course. But you should just flip. If you get a chance to flip to, it's past the letters page. So once you flip past the letters pages, then you'll see it, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing I didn't do. I didn't flip past it because I forgot about the Gods page also. Which, yeah, did you mention the creative team on that?
The Gods, no, I didn't write that down. Just because I know that they intersperse these Gods pages throughout. And I haven't really mentioned them because I know that it's just this ongoing tease. So I haven't had a chance to kind of put two and two together when it comes to these Gods pages. But if you want, I know you put the credits in your notes. So The Gods page in this issue is written by Jonathan Hickman with art by Eric Arciniega. It's lettered by VC's Joe Caramagna.
Well, wait, no, I think. Wait. Wait, did I? I think Gleason also did some art on this. On the. Or am I tripping? No, never mind. That's the case. Because I was like, when I wrote it, I was like, well, wait, did they just do the thing? But I'm just also looking back at the. Yeah, Gleason did do some art on that, so I missed that. So Gleason also did the Gods page, but Eric Arciniega was the color artist.
There you go.
So that was my slip. Either way, that's pretty much that stuff. Yeah, I don't know what that stuff is. I mean, we know we have already had talked about the fact that he's building up to whatever that stuff is, but yeah, we're not really getting a good sense of what that's going to be. We just know it's Hickman, and we're probably going to be on board for it anyway. Quite likely.
Right. You know, it's obviously very reminiscent of like Crisis, right? You know, with like interspersed, bits of story to try to help tease what's going to happen. And obviously we're kind of the target audience because we read a lot of Marvel. Right. So it would be geared towards us, but right now I'm just having a hard time keeping track of it.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to. It's kind of the thing. It was like, hey, I'm just trying to let people know that these folks are around, because we've seen them in the Hellfire character, we've seen them in the pages. If people decide to, sometimes they've even put them in between the pages of the story, in certain. But then now they've been kind of putting them into the back of the book, I guess gearing up. If weirdly enough felt like one of those Hostess Twinkies ads that used to be back in the day in the books. So I don't know. Either way, that's Amazing Spider-Man number 32. We're going to push on to Invincible Iron Man number 9.
Right, and this is going to kind of lead us into the X corner or the fall and the X corner / fall of X corner of this week's books. Invincible Iron Man number 9 is written by Jerry Duggan with art by Juan Frigeri, colors by Brian Valenza, and letters again by VC's hardest working paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. Is there a Gods page in this?
I don't think so.
Okay, no, there's not.
No.
There's not. So we kind of have in this issue a flashback to some stuff that happened between actually, yeah, it's a bit of a flashback, I guess. It's not necessarily exactly picking up right where we end, but it basically is with Fei Long and Tony kind of facing off. Fei Long has to let Tony go in a sense, because of potential PR issues, and Tony is left to figure out his next steps with the aid of Emma Frost, who he was able to rescue from the clutches of Fei Long and Orcus. Ultimately, what we find in this issue is what Tony and Emma Frost are kind of working towards, using some of their mutual connections, and those mutual connections have a twist to them.
Yes. So, yeah, and I guess I guess if we were to put this in a timeline, and I'm not sure whether we can or not, this is definitely after the Hellfire Gala, but before that meeting of that happens in Uncanny Avengers and wherever else it happened, probably Immortal, or wherever that happens. So then kind of put that together. And of course, like you said, there's more news on the whole Tony and Emma Frost thing in the news section. As we've talked about before, they are definitely working up to a thing, and you kind of see that. I guess that part kind of come apparent leading up to the next issue. Actually, I think that's going to happen in the next issue, but we'll see when we get down to the thing. But yeah, that was Invincible Iron Man number. So come to find out that, hey, Tony and Emma Frost kind of have some. While their situations are not exactly the same, I guess they can share in some in their temporary downfalls.
Sure. And as I said, they have mutual connections via an aspect of their backgrounds being shared. So, that part, while known to us, we get to see that play out here in this storyline. And as I said earlier, there is a pretty big twist. Unbeknownst to most readers, but I think they had revealed this elsewhere.
Are you referring to who shows up at the end in their
yes, yeah.
That's yeah.
That's been revealed somewhere else.
I think if you've been up on the Xbox, you kind of, I don't know about that one particular aspect of it, but definitely, the fact that the character is kind of in the X corner now for a reason. Right. Speaking of which, Duggan puts a line in the book, which I had to chuckle at for a second because I feel like I feel like that this is something personal for reasons. And the line is, everyone with a social media account is just a useful idiot.
Yeah. I laughed at that.
I was like, huh. I'm like, yep. I see you, Duggan.
I laughed at that.
You're not wrong, but also I see you.
Yeah, I laughed at that. All right. Mm-hmm. Anything else on this before we move on to other X books? Because I know that Roddykat and I read 2 other X books, each one of them in common. So we'll just do these, not rapid fire, but on the quicker side. Jean Grey number 1 of 4 is written by Louise Simonson. Wheezy Simonson's back, with art by Bernard Chang, colors by Marcelo Maiolo, and letters by VC's Ariana Mar. So this Jean Grey miniseries focuses on Jean in the wake of what happened at the Hellfire Gala, but this first issue seems to reflect that the 4 issues are going to be kind of a walk down memory lane by going down the paths not followed. Right. That's what it seems like to me.
No, you're absolutely right, and also felt like a slight retcon, unless that was a part of the roads not traveled part, which I'm still not entirely sure about where it broke off, because it feels like at a certain point it was like, wait, is this a what if? And then you kind of, by the time you get to the end of it, you kind of get to, it's like, okay, I see what's going on here, got it. Right. But at the same time, I feel like it's like, well, some of this seemed like it could have been a retcon to some stuff that we have been seeing, but not entirely sure. So I guess we'll have to just leave it as it is until either that bears out or it gets to the thing and be like, nope, it is what it is.
Right. And if there's one thing I want to leave everyone with when it comes to the character of Jean Grey, I feel that much like Sue Storm, it all depends on who is writing the character and how they choose to portray the character, because Sue, like it or not, is the most powerful member of the Fantastic Four. Jean, Phoenix or no Phoenix, may in fact be the most powerful member of the X-Men. So, it's, and obviously, when it comes to, like gender roles and sexism, playing a part in how the character's been portrayed over the years, we get that, but when it comes down to brass tacks, I think the case may very well be made that these 2 characters respectively are the powerhouses behind their 2 teams.
Right, and as far as Jean is concerned, I want to say she is still considered. Well, she's definitely still an Omega Mutant 1, and I guess by proxy one of the 12 in that. So all the way around, yeah, she's pretty much one of the most powerful out there. Like the people seem to sometimes lose sight of that.
Right, right. I just wanted to make that quick point before we moved on. Where we diverge here, folks, is that I read X-Force number 43. It's written by Benjamin Percy, with art by Robert Gill, colors by Guru EFX, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. I will say very quickly that this issue focuses on the role of X-Force during the events of the Hellfire Gala, while weaving in the story that has been in the background of X-Force for months, if not years, when it comes to what's going on with Colossus. And I don't want to spoil what's going on, but if you are familiar with what's been happening in X-Force over the last 2 years and what's been happening with Colossus, it all seems to be about to come to a head. So that is what happens in X-Force number 43. I will let Roddykat pick up with his X book. I will talk about, and it's not necessarily tied into Fall of X, but I will read off the credits very quickly of Storm number 4 of 5. It's written by Ann Nocenti with art by Geraldo Borges, colors by Andrew Dahlhaus, and letters by VC's Ariana Mar. Take it away.
So yeah, this is yet another one of those hey, here's a never before seen story, possible retcon to certain things. A story from past that we've just now getting to see. I had to catch up because I didn't realize I had not read this miniseries since like the second issue. So I kind of had lost the thread of what was going on to it. So I read 2, 3, and 4 all back to back. That being said, it was like, okay, so basically Storm was going to, this was during the Punk Storm phase. She was going to, at this point, she was leading the X-Men up until things that happened in this story. But they also address other things that are going on with other characters, or other, I guess they're addressing other things with other characters, let's just say. But the crux is that Storm's kind of having issues with her powers. She's kind of doubting herself. She's thinking there might be mutating or whatnot, but things might not be all that what it seems because of this new love interest in her life that has come about, that also has some baggage on them, and also working with a known adversary of the X-Men who is basically trying to get one of them on their side. And of course, this is back in the day with Kitty Pryde, aka Shadow Cat with the C, when she was still a kid, and she was having a hissy fit over Storm's new look, which still makes no sense to me. And they've tried to kind of justify it a little bit, and it still hasn't done that. It still hasn't sufficiently done that for me, but it is what it is. That's the crux of it. Like I said, this is the penultimate issue, and it's going to lead to some sort of resolution with what's going on, and this adversary who, weird enough, feels like Onslaught, but for Storm in a way. At least that's how they're playing them, but I suspect there's another revelation with that we're going to find out in this next issue, but we'll see. And that's that for Storm. We can go ahead and get into rapid fire.
All right, I'm spinning it up.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Rapid fire comic reviews. All right, I don't have too many left. This is one book we actually have in common, and that is Black Panther number 3. It's written by Eve L. Ewing with pencils by Chris Allen and Mac Chater. Inks are by Craig Young and Mac Chater. Colors are by Jesus Abertov, and letters are by VC's Joe Sabino. So the way I put it to Roddykat is this. We have some more table setting involved here in the 3rd issue of Eve L. Ewing's run on the Black Panther. We have more exposition, we have more explanation when it comes to how some characters are related to each other, how they fit into the context of Birnin T'Chaka, this secondary city in Wakanda that T'Challa is now running around in, much like Batman would be in Gotham in a sense. And he has found his Catwoman / Black Cat, if you want to make T'Challa Spidey. And they are, in fact, trying to figure out how they're possibly going to work together. And what ends up happening is that they do figure out a way to work together. And something happens that obviously has been teased over the first 3 issues. And, another Marvel character shows up to crash a particular social gathering.
Right, which is also weird given that the last instances of this character being around being in the Avengers book.
Right.
And that whole thing going on.
Right. What I was going to say is at least in the first 2 issues, they do reveal that, why the character would be acting the way they're acting right now.
Right.
All right. So it's been a gradual thing.
Right.
All right. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Next up, Captain America finale #1. It's written by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly, former guests of the Comic Book Chronicles, with art by Carmen Carnero, colors by Nolan Woodard, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna, our favorite hardworking lettering python. So we finally get to the end of this run on Captain America. We get the payoff for the secret behind Captain America's shield. We get the payoff for what Bucky had been plotting this entire time with his, and I'm borrowing a wrestling term here, his heel turn, as it were. We have some payoff for the character developments of the new Nomad and the new Destroyer. Finally, at the end of the issue, we are kind of restored. The toys are kind of put back into the sandbox, much like the ending of the Zdarsky run on Daredevil. But some characters are changed. Specifically the aforementioned Nomad, the new version of Nomad, and the new version of the Destroyer. But Steve Rogers is kind of restored to what he was. And this is in advance of the next volume of Captain America it's J. Michael Straczynski, right?
Correct.
Right. So, that's in a few months.
Wait, before you go to the next book, I can't, if you're watching the video version, I can't let this book go by without showing the variant cover for Agent 70's favorite artist, Greg Land.
Oh, God.
You can see it if you're watching the video version. It's actually not bad. But
well, I haven't seen it, but even without seeing it, sight unseen.
Anyway.
Sight unseen. Anyway, last but not least for my rapid fire, folks, is Immortal Thor #1. It's written by Al Ewing with art by Martin Coccolo, colors by Matthew Wilson, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. Hands down, folks, this is my click of the week. There is no hemming or hawing. No, I may have another candidate. Nope, this is straight up my click of the week this week. I recommend this. You do not need to have read any previous Thor when it comes to this. It obviously helps to be familiar with how some characters are related to each other, specifically Thor and Loki, Thor and Sif, Thor and some of the other characters in the kind of pantheon of the Norse gods. But ultimately, this is an excellent jumping on point. You can hand this comic to just about anyone. Obviously, the MCU helps with getting people familiar with the idea of what the MC or the Marvel Thor is as opposed to the mythological Thor, right? Bottom line is that this is an excellent starting point for a new Thor volume. There are obviously hints of the classic Simonson run in this, but bottom line, this is a lot of fun to read. There's a little bit of the Old English, not the malt liquor, but there's a little bit of the Old English. I almost had Roddykat do a spit take just now of from the Simonson run in this, and that was heartening to me as a fan of the older Thor runs. I know that they have sometimes veered towards more modern English takes and verbiage and using the more modern lexicon, but I kind of enjoyed reading this style of writing Thor and Thor stories, and that's it for me.
One, they kind of made fun of that actually recently in something. I can't remember. It was something Avengers related, and I want to say it might have been Avengers Beyond, the last Avengers Beyond book that I think I wanted you, Agent 7, to read because of that, because it was kind of amusing how they did that, because he kind of called attention to it. But also, did you not read Marvel Unleashed?
I did not get to it, but you can spoil it because I'll try
No,
to
I
read
didn't
it.
either. But I was just curious because I was like, that was another one I wanted to get to myself, but I did not. So, all right, for myself, we go into some MCUification with Moon Knight: City of the Dead, number 2 of 5. It is written by David Pepose. Pencils by Marcelo Ferreira, inks by Jay Leiston, colors by Rochelle Rosenberg, and letters by VC's Corey Pettit. And I say MCUification because that's pretty much kind of what's going on here. If you're watching the video version, you can see the cover to it that has Moon Knight with the MCU version of the Scarlet Scarab, who showed up in the first book and is now, has been kind of fighting along with Moon Knight in the City of the Dead because there was a kid that got hurt, mortally hurt, and of course Mark being like, "Hey, this happened under my watch, so I got to take care of it." So he takes a trip to the City of the Dead, and Scarlet Scarab, who just so happens to be the protector of said City of the Dead, in trying to find out, who, what, when. One, trying to find the kid's soul, and 2, find out who and why, whoever is taking kids' souls, and they do part of that, but there is a slight betrayal that happens at the end of this book for some reason. I guess we'll find out in the next issue. Next book is where are you? Right, fine. There we go. Darkwing Duck, number 8. Script by Amanda Dabert, art and colors by Carlo Lauro, and letters by Jeff Eckleberry. So last issue there was a team up with Darkwing and Neptunia. This issue, it is a team up with Darkwing and Gizmo Duck. And if you are familiar with the TV show, you'll know the character of Gizmo Duck. Either that and or DuckTales, I guess, would be your inroads to that. But yes, they're still trying to find Launchpad's missing compass and Head's butt, and said team up barely goes well, but it goes. So I guess they're basically seemingly teaming up all the members of the Justice Ducks with Darkwing to bring them all together at some point. At least that's what it feels like to me, but we shall see if that's continues to be the case. Next book for me is Potential Collector of the Week, and that is, probably unsurprising by now, Star Trek number 11, which is written by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, art by Angel Unzueta, colors by Marissa Louise, and letters by Clayton Cowles. I'm about to say VC, but he's not with VC because this is not Marvel. This is not a Marvel book. So yeah, this is continuing the Day of Blood crossover event that is going on in the Star Trek books. Excuse me, I knew that was going to happen. It's funny because Ro Laren and Sela, the Romulan daughter of Tasha Yar, not Natasha Yar, are pretty much being the naysayers here. But of course, the Starfleet amongst the crew, and Scotty, and to a certain extent, also being kind of a naysayer with what's going on, being the negative energy, let's say. But of course, the Starfleet crew are pretty much showing them what Starfleet's all about in situations such as this. There was a mention of the Kobayashi Maru going about, which was like, I don't know if that's the case, but hey, sure, I can see how this could seem like that. But they're still on Kronos, basically trying to stop Kahless, the clone Kahless, and the Red Path, which is his cult, from basically taking over things. And we see, various members of the crew kind of doing their thing. We see Beverly Crusher channel Will Smith and Batman in a sequence, which was pretty cool to see in relation to a character. And we see some great character moments, I'll put it this way, in this thing. And at the end of this issue, we get to see the two mains, Worf and Benjamin Sisko, finally reach their goal of getting up to Kahless, almost a video game style, I would say. But you can say that about almost anything. So it's good. Oh, and Alexander, who is, of course, working with Kahless, much to the chagrin of Worf. So, good stuff. Good stuff. Next book for me is my last book, which is Fantastic Four Annual 2023 number 1. Where are you go? Where are you? There we go. It is written by Zach Gorman with art by Alan Robinson, color artist Guru EFX, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. So this is continuing that contest of chaos that's going on. This time around, it is the Human Torch versus Ghost Rider. They're looking to be in limbo, or a limbo-like place, fighting out for whatever it is they're fighting for, which they still don't necessarily know. But it ends, and there is a victor, and there is a backup story where Spidey and Jessica Jones is still on the case, but maybe possibly getting closer with a little bit of help. And that, folks, is it for myself. Kliqs of the week.
Kliqs of the week. Yeah, we know what mine is. I already said it, guys. Yeah. I already said it, folks. Ladies and germs, you know what it is.
Here, I will give this nice George Perez variant of the Immortal Thor. There we go.
Yes.
For folks to see on the video version. Matter of fact, I'll just throw one more because there's actually a couple of good covers for this book. It's Francis Manipold's cover. This is also a good one. So yeah, that's Agent 70s. Mine, oh wait, here's Brian Hitches. There you go. For myself, I think I'm going to go with Star Trek number 11. I said it was the potential Kliq of the week, but it's pretty much the one that stood out for me. I know that possibly if one PCN_Dirt was caught up, he would probably pick this as well, but I'm not going to put those words in his mouth, but just say tentatively probably would be the case.
More likely than not. Let's just say it that way.
Yes. I was going to mention a couple of books from last week, but I didn't get to catch up on the ones that I didn't, or at least the one that I wanted to at the very least bring up. So we'll shelve that for another time because it'll probably come up with something recently. And with that, we're going to move on to the news. So let's get one ad read out of the way, please.
Our first ad read of the night is for Blue Apron's meal delivery service. Blue Apron, fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron. Always shipped free right to your home. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcasts free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
That was the wrong transition. Ha 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 ha. Cinematic news, folks. Think Hulu is losing what it called, well, this article is calling a cult favorite Marvel movie soon. That movie is Ang Lee's The Hulk. It's going to be removed from Hulu on September 30th, as Agent 70 postulated last week after the show, probably likely going to Disney+.
The Plus.
Yep. Next up.
All right. Oh, did I open this? Yes, I did. There it is. So nothing is planned for a fifth Thor movie yet, but if it does happen and Taika Waititi is back at the helm, he actually does have some ideas for what to do. He basically says that he'd like to step up from the Hela level of villain and add a villain that's somehow even more formidable. That should have been Gore the God Butcher, but they kind of messed that one up. So we'll see how a Thor 5 movie goes, if in fact it does get made.
Indeed. Marvel's Thunderbolts director claims that the film will not be a sequel to any MCU predecessors, but a standalone experience. Sure. The quote here in a recent interaction with Comic Book, he says, "Yeah, I wouldn't look at this as a sequel at all. We don't talk about it that way, and we've never really kind of approached it that way in any of the conversations we had with Kevin and Brian." I think you know who those are. Wink. That's me putting that in there. I think there's a story to be told about a group of characters who can relate to each other in a certain way or have gone through certain things, and we're going to get into that. Which that quote kind of reached to me saying, hey, we want to do Suicide Squad without kind of mentioning we're doing Suicide Squad.
Right.
Next up.
All righty. So we talked about this earlier. Roddykat mentioned it very specifically that the Ahsoka series has released its first 2 episodes this past Tuesday and not on Wednesday. So following that event, the 8-episode season 1 will continue to release every Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern time, which, as we said earlier, gives us more time to watch it and possibly rewatch it. Next up.
Speaking of Ahsoka, there wait, actually, hold on. This might be
Toy Corner?
No. Oh, okay. I was tripping for a second. So there's going to be a Star Wars Ahsoka special on Disney Plus, because I saw Master and Apprentice, which is the name of the first episode, and I was like, wait a minute. And I know I put this in here, but still. So yeah, there is actually what I originally thought is actually going to be the case. So along with new episodes of Star Wars Ahsoka, there is going to be on September 15th, there's going to be there's going to be Master and Apprentice, a special look at Ahsoka. And I guess it's a behind-the-scenes special that details how the series comes to life. So there you go. So before the series even ends, or even it's in the middle of it, because it says here that the final 3 episodes are going to be after this that special airs. Yeah, there's still gonna be more Ahsoka. They're just throwing this out there in the midst of it. So cool. Stay tuned for that when that happens. Next up.
Loki season 2 producer explains what's going on with Sylvie. Spoiler alert, working at a fast food restaurant. So, in a bit of footage that was revealed, that is kind of spoiled, but ultimately that bringing this fast food restaurant into the storyline provides a unique perspective on the character of Sylvie, who up until now has been driven by anger and revenge. But now working at this fast food restaurant, the character will just be enjoying the little and ordinary things in life. Okay. Well, listen, Loki is not that far away, folks.
Nope. Not.
It begins streaming on October 6th.
Mm-hmm. And I first saw this because one, there's a typo in the article title and in the story itself, which I think they might have changed one of them, but I guess not. Which made me think of Coming to America, because I was thinking, it was like, wait, so it's a knockoff McDonald's. It's not the Golden Arches, it's the Golden Arcs.
Oh no!
But that's not the case, and this is just an actual typo in the article. I also thought that was another variant, but anyway. Hey, folks, guess what? The Mandalorian, WandaVision, and Loki Season 1 are going to be released on Blu-ray and 4K soonish, actually. The first season of Loki will become available on September 26th, WandaVision on November 28th, the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian on December 12th. There's also going to be collector's edition cases of those, Steelbox, all the works. And this article kind of goes into some of the other things that are going to be in the set, but it's fairly standard for season sets in this day and age. It says all 4 titles will be available to pre-order on August 28th. And there might be a reason all this is happening, as we have mentioned in the past, that might have to do with the next story, which is
layoffs, folks. Not good. So Disney Plus is probably going to lose even more content. The company said it could remove more content from its streaming services by the end of this month. This is actually posted from June. So, this ultimately has been going on for a little while, and Disney may be continuing to pull shows as cost-cutting measures. So Disney Plus may have fewer things to watch in the near future.
I mean, they can cut some of that Nat Geo stuff. That's fine. Who's using that crap? Especially Storage Wars. Come on. Anyway, also on the Disney business front, which feels kind of petty, but I'm kind of into it. Disney files countersuit in state court against Ron DeSantis' appointed special district board. The company seeks damages and claims retaliation. So yeah, this is that whole Disney versus the stupid Florida governor is still kind of ongoing. I kind of feel this countersuit is kind of petty, but also, you know what? I'm not mad at it. This is one of the few cases where I'm not mad at it. I'm not going to go into the details, because if you've been hitting any kind of news outlets, most news outlets outside of the faux one, you will probably get some fairly good insight into what's going on here. Or read this article in the show notes. Next up.
I get the sad story.
Yeah.
Actor Ron Cephas Jones has died at the age of 66. His role as William Hill, the biological father of Sterling K. Brown's Randall Pearson on This Is Us, earned Jones 4 Emmy nominations, for which he twice won Outstanding Guest Actor in a Drama Series. He's also known for his television roles in Luke Cage, Mr. Robot, and The Get Down, along with his movie roles in Across the Universe and Dolomite Is My Name. A representative for the actor shared with the media, with People magazine, that Jones had died at the age of 66 and was said to have passed away due to, quote, a long-standing pulmonary issue, unquote. 66 is way too young. Rest in power, Ron Cephas Jones. Roddykat reminded me earlier that he is, in fact, the father of the OG Peggy from Hamilton. What's her name? Jasmine?
Yeah.
It is Jasmine, right? Jasmine
Yes.
Jones.
I think it's Jasmine Cephas Jones, but I can't remember.
Jasmine Cephas Jones.
Yeah, I think
right.
so, yeah.
I think it is Jasmine Cephas Jones.
Yeah. So if you're watching the video version, you can see the Instagram post from Sterling K. Brown about the news. All I can say is rest in peace, Bobby Fish. Yeah, the man was a fantastic actor. No matter what you've seen, you know what you've seen him in. Like I did not watch. This is also like pretty much most of everybody else who was crying and weeping about it. And
that was me. I was with them.
Yeah, and saying it was so good, I was like, I don't know, I'm not trying to be down bad every week watching nothing mess like that. No, but yeah,
that was me. I was with them.
Yeah, but I hear it's a great show and all that. I'm sure it was, but it's like, nah, I can't do it. So yeah, but like I said, he will be definitely missed because like I said, he was a great actor. Next up, though, speaking of some sad news, Darren Kent, Game of Thrones and Dungeons and Dragons actor, dies at 76. Darren Kent, who again, along with being in the aforementioned two things I mentioned, he was also in the East Enders and more. He died on this past Friday. His death was confirmed by his talent agency in a statement that was posted to Twitter. I won't read the statement, but you can see, if you're watching the video version, you can see the the statement there. Next up,
My Adventures with Superman spoiled the Batman character's debut in a new trailer. So this trailer just spoiled the arrival of a key Batman character, and
yeah, I kind of talked.
Oh
about
no,
it
we talked about this because we already reviewed the episode.
Right.
Vicky Vale.
Hold on. Got a short.
Vicky Vale. Vicky Vale. 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 Vale.
Okay.
I don't know. The program just wigged out. I was like, wait,
I thought you did that on purpose. I was like, what?
I didn't even touch it. I was trying to stop it, actually.
That's so funny.
Anywho, next up, remix. They're tiny, they're toony, they're back and still loony, as I'm going to say. But there is a trailer for the new Tiny Toons Luniversity that is going to premiere on September 9th. You can check it out if you have not already. It looks like there's going to be... Would you stop that? It's going to be 10 episodes in season 1, and we'll start... Oh, I'm sorry. Season 9 is going to start. September 9th. It's going to be on Cartoon Network, but it's going to be streaming on Max on September 8th. There we go. So, but yeah, the trailer's out there. You can check it out. Next up.
Warner Brothers Pictures and DC's The Flash movie, which hit theaters only in June, now has a date for its streaming debut on Max. It's going to be available on... Holy crap! Tomorrow, Friday, August 25th.
As of this recording, if you hear this recording after the fact, yeah, it will probably already be out there.
Yeah, it'll be available for me to not watch.
I will. Well,
I mean,
now that I don't have to pay for it, I will probably watch it.
Say again?
So now that I don't have to actually quote unquote pay for it, I will probably watch it.
Oh no.
No, I was not going to pay to watch Scarlet Criminal, so, and I'm not necessarily paying for Max as it is, so yeah. Win-win for me, that's all I can say. Next up, though, hey, Blue Beetle did pretty good at the box office. It actually beat, Barbieheimer in short order, I guess. But it says, yeah, Blue Beetle beat Barbie with 25.4 million, but Barbie's kind of had a pretty good run, already, past the billion mark. So I don't think Blue Beetle's going to top that. But beating out a movie that's been pretty much on top for what 3-4 weeks at this point, is saying something, but not really saying much. movies tend to die down at that point. But let's see, 24.4 million in North America is what it started out at the opening weekend. It mentioned tropical storm here in Glory. I hope all the people out there in Cali stay safe. And also how they're going to be impacted by that by the tropical storm. But there's that, and not to mention the strike, I guess. But I don't think that's going to do anything about that. But overseas, 18 million from 63 markets. Money, money, money. Next up,
I wanted to mention very quickly before we move on that I was trying to get tickets to watch Oppenheimer in like true IMAX, right? So here in New York City, there's one like true IMAX theater. It's the classic IMAX theater that's up by Lincoln Center. It's the Lincoln Square Theater. Yo, let me tell you, at least during like non-working hours, like when you can go like after work or on the weekend, Oppenheimer tickets are impossible to get. They're almost all sold out because everyone knows or has heard via word of mouth that the large presentation, the biggest presentation you can find is the way to watch it.
That's fluff, but I don't doubt it. That's just me. That's my. I'm not saying IMAX is not a big deal or whatever. Because I'm like, yeah, sure, they're gonna tell you to watch it in the biggest, most expensive ticket.
Right. No, but ultimately, this is word of mouth stuff. It's not even from people that have watched it. So bottom line, and whatchamacallit, Mark Bernardin said so on Fat Man Beyond. So. But I just wanted to mention that I was actually trying to get tickets and I was rebuffed in my efforts. This next story, though, TMNT Mutant Mayhem crosses $100 million globally. So the movie has surpassed the $100 million mark at the worldwide box office. The film's collection currently stands at 76.8 million domestically and 23.1 million internationally. So that doesn't seem so high after 2 weeks into release, when compared to Barbieheimer. Its financial performance is deemed impressive considering its budget was kept at a lean 70 million. So it is in the black, and it comes at a time when the TMNT franchise is surpassing the 1 billion mark in global retail sales. All right.
Right. And not as much advertising as you would think.
Right.
Now, granted, having seen their faces on pizza boxes and having seen some advertisement, I was like, okay, I don't know where, because somebody had mentioned that to me, or not mentioned that to me, but had mentioned that I saw. I'm like, I've seen it being advertised, so it's not like they weren't pushing this thing a little, and also in theaters, but whatever. Anyway, hey folks, did you ever want to have or see a Nerf movie? Well, guess what? There's a good chance that you're probably going to get your wish. And I don't know who this person is outside of a person that's in Hollywood, exactly, trying to make some money, because I can't see anybody else kind of wanting that. According to Brooklyn Nine-Nine writer Van Robichaux, I guess that's his name, I apologize if I'm butchering it, he once pitched a rather incredible sounding Nerf movie, according to this IGN article. Quote, I pitched a Nerf idea I loved a few back they didn't go for. That's how the sentence is saying. He said on Twitter, get a Rock, a Hemsworth, any big action star. Hire a great action director and do a normal action movie, but every weapon is a Nerf movie. Nerf weapon. That was his pitch. Every bullet is foam, added Robichaux about his Nerf idea. Never directly address it in the film and play it all straight. Which, honestly, hey, you know what? Given what Barbie's doing, that's not a terrible. It gets into some more news. Actually, I'm going to take this next one because it does fall right into the next one. because it kind of goes away from that Nerf thing and mentions the fact that Hasbro has launched an entertainment division led by E1 executives Olivier Dumont, Zeb Foreman, and Gabriel Morano. So, yeah, it says here that we are thrilled to embark on this new chapter, building upon our rich heritage of storytelling to continue delighting audiences across generations, Dumont said. Gabe, Zev, and I look forward to working with the industry's best creative talent, studios, and the distribution platforms to push the envelope with innovative storytelling, blah, 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 blah. We already know they're trying to push a G.I. Joe movie off the back of that last Transformers movie, which is actually on Paramount Plus, unless I haven't had it watch. By the way, the honors trailer, as Agent 70 has reminded me, is out there for that movie and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So you can go check that out. It might be on the show notes. Who knows? But yeah, they're and the reason why it mentions up, I mentioned that after that Nerf one, because Hasbro is currently developing and producing over 2,000 projects, including the aforementioned G.I. Joe Transformers, Dungeons and Dragons, Nerf, Play-Doh, Magic the Gathering, Peppa Pig, and My Little Pony. So buckle up, folks. Next up.
Paramount Plus has released the first teaser trailer for Good Burger 2, unveiling new footage of the returns of original stars Kenan Thompson and Kel Mitchell. Back in 1997, the stars of Kenan and Kel co-starred in Good Burger, a feature film based on a series of sketches from the Nickelodeon series All That. 26 years later, Thompson and Mitchell are reprising their roles from the movie for Good Burger 2, which is set for streaming release on Paramount Plus. Good Burger 2 will be streaming on Paramount Plus this fall, though an exact premiere date has not yet been announced. The original Good Burger, meanwhile, can be streamed on the free streaming platform Pluto TV, together with a bunch of Godzilla movies.
Indeed. Welcome to Good Burger. May I take your order? Yes, it's not comic book related, but I thought it was fun. But speaking of movies,
I was about to say Roddykat took the words right out of my mouth. Moving on.
Yeah, like we don't do stuff that's not movie comic book related around here. But anywho's, the 90s kids are stoked at that, I'm sure. But speaking of the movies, National Cinema Day. Yeah, pretty much. National Cinema Day returns with movie tickets under $4 on Sunday, August the 27th. That is a few days from this recording. So yes, this Sunday, all movies, all formats, yes, including, matter of fact, even IMAX, if Oppenheimer isn't already sold out on your local 70 millimeter screen, according to this article.
That's what I was trying to do.
According to this article, was already with you on this. All showtimes all day will cost less than $4 at participating theaters. More than 3,000 locations with approximately 30,000 available screens are expected to take part of this in this one-day event. Apparently, this is the second annual National Cinema Day hosted by the Cinema Foundation, which I did not know was a thing. Is designed to, quote, celebrate the power of movies to bring us all together. And I feel like I've seen either Tom Cruise or someone else say that in one of those things, or Vin Diesel saying that in one of those things, saying, please come back to the theater. Or to populate multiplexes during the dog days of summer. So, yeah. And then it goes on into numbers, which I won't get into. But hey, if you are watching this video, if you're watching this recording or happen to catch this before Sunday, hey, you want to go watch a movie? Go for it. You know, you can, I guess, for the movie ticket, you can save on the popcorn. You can get your a small bag of popcorn. But now we're going to go into the anime corner.
Right, and I got this story. Serendipity, folks. Serendipity as we transition into the anime corner of the news. Folks, that is a transition from the most recent season of Haikyuu. And now, Get ready for the climactic match between Karasu no High and Nekoma High. Haikyuu final two-parter showcases first anime film's title and logo. Haikyuu Day arrived, and with it came more info on the upcoming two-part Haikyuu final anime film project, first announced back in August 2022. We now know what the title of the first film will be, as the two-parter kicks off with the Gekichoban Haikyuu Gomi Suteba no Kessen, in English, Decisive Battle at the Garbage Dump anime film. The logo was also revealed for the film, which showcases the climactic match between Karasu no High and Nekoma High following the events of the anime's fourth season. Let's see here. Looking for no more info on the dates.
Yeah, no. But I'm pretty sure we'll let you know when we find out. Next up, though, Ghost in the Shell franchise to launch its global hub site in October. There will be content that will be available in both English and Japanese. So let's see. The site will cover not only the original manga, but also all information for Oishi's first anime film to the latest full 3D CG animation series, Ghost in the Shell, standalone complex 2045. And it will also include an overview of each series, synopsis, and character profiles, information on books, packaging, and related merchandise, as well as special content such as exclusive interviews with people involved in the franchise. Prior to the launch of the site, the official Twitter and Instagram for the franchise opened on August 22nd. So, if you're a fan of Ghost in the Shell, hey, check that out. It's good stuff. Next up.
All right, we're transitioning into the manga news. Black Clover manga is ending in Shonen Jump. Yuki Tabata's Black Clover has ended its run with Shonen Jump and will be transferred to a different magazine, Jump Giga. So, Yuki Tabata prepares to end the series itself in a new magazine with a much different release schedule for its final chapters. That's, kind of annoying, since I was just thinking about subbing, starting a sub on Shonen Jump.
Wait, well,
not that I'm reading Black Clover.
Yeah, I was about to say, were you doing it specifically for that? Because, hey, it's there's many and plenty out there. I don't know. Like, this article says wildly popular. Wait, was this? No, this wasn't. It was the article that I said. It was like wildly popular manga. I'm like, I don't know about that. But you gotta take it with a grain of salt with some of these articles. Anywho, we're gonna transition over into the comic book news. Wonder Woman comic rockets to #1 after James Gunn's endorsement. And that book is Wonder Woman Historia, which was DC's 3-issue Black Label book. And apparently has now been collected into one single volume.
Did you skip a story?
I don't think so. Maybe I did. Hold on. I sure did. Yeah, well, you take that one and I'll finish it.
No problem.
I'm clicking on things, but James Gunn was on Twitter and basically said, "Hey, from 63 to #1 in DC books on Amazon since this post. I'm excited for all of you to check out DC Historia. I've heard good things about it, and I do have seen him kind of going on about it, and we have a copy of the book, but I don't think none of us read it, or so." And I don't know why I didn't, because I know who wrote it. And I was like, that's probably what's going to be actually pretty good. So either way, it's out there, folks, if you want to peruse that. Next up.
Joshua Williamson teases big action, new villains, and the unexpected in new Batman and Robin series in an exclusive to comicbook.com. So the dynamic duo will be back in action in a brand new series titled Batman and Robin, and at the helm will be writer Joshua Williamson and artist Simone DeMeo. Bruce and Damon will be teaming up once again, and this is an update to their relationship dynamic because they have been apart for a little while. And it also includes a certain buzzed about new addition in a villain named not Hush, but Shush. Yeah, we're really stretching for original names here, folks.
Well, it's DC, That's all I can say.
It stays losing. Shout out to Eclectic.
Indeed. So skipping that one. Actually, this is probably good anyway because DC reveals new look at Wonder Woman's daughter Trinity. This is, I guess, is kind of from solicits. From November. So yeah, Tom King is writing Wonder Woman. There was a story in Wonder Woman 800 which introduced Diana's daughter, who is nicknamed Trinity. Let's see, and in Wonder Woman 3, which is going to be on sale, November 21st. Then we will get the debut of Diana's daughter. So there you go. I'm scrolling through some concept art. There you go, and have at it. Next up, in an exclusive story to The Beat, the Flash family is racing into the spotlight in a new Speed Force series for DC. The series from Jarrett Williams and Danielle DeNicolo will focus on Wallace Ace West, aka Kid Flash, and Avery Ho, the Flash of China. Okay. Looking for release dates here. Speed Force #1 is set to arrive in stores and digitally on Tuesday, November 14th. Wait, where did Ace come from? I don't remember ever calling him Ace, but okay.
You got me, but I guess that's how they're going to differentiate him from Wally.
Well, they've been calling him Wallace for this whole time, so I figured that, but I guess that's not enough for them to differentiate.
Well, that's literally what they added to the name, the Ace.
Right. So, anyway, okay. Christopher Reeve's Superman to return to take on Russia in next comics sequel series. So this is a sequel to Superman 78, which will be called the Metal Curtain, and it says here it sets the Man of Steel on a collision course with the Soviet Union. I first saw this article, I'm like, wait, so they're doing Red Sun Superman in in the 78 universe? Some of this is coming from November and early December solicitations, so that's why we got some of this in that. Let's see, Superman, according to this article, the 78, the Metal Curtain will introduce Metallo to the Reeves universe created by the Soviet Union as a response to the Man of Steel. So there you go. Do we have a date for when this is going to happen? Okay, come on, you are giving way too much. Here we go. November 7th, 2023 is when that's going to be released. Next up.
Alrighty, so in an article on Marvel.com and a trailer, X-Men Iron Man, the wedding of Emma Frost and Tony Stark. Get ready for the most exceptional power couple the Marvel Universe has ever seen. Introducing Mrs. and Mr. Emma Frost, exchanging vows this September. I'm not going to press play on it, but you can watch this trailer for more.
Yeah, that would be funny. That would be actually pretty funny if Tony actually takes her last name.
Mm-hmm.
Groundbreaking. Toy Corner. Marvel is let's see. It says Steve Evans, who is the product designer director for Marvel at Hasbro, posted some images of 2023 Marvel 4-inch Epic Heroes Kid Focus line. So yeah, there's a 4-inch line of Marvel figures. I can't call them Marvel Legends, but there are Marvel figures for the little Jimmies. You can see and Jimettes, I guess. Also.
Yeah, and just very quickly, I'm looking at the image, and obviously there's some very kid-friendly characters that are released here. Obviously, there are multiple Spideys, multiple costume Spideys. There's a Miles. There's an Iron Spider. There's I believe, a video game Spider. There's a Captain America Sam Wilson, but no Captain America Steve Rogers. There is a Venom, and there are multiple X-Men, mostly resembling their X-Men 97 costumes, and Guardians as well.
Yeah. So yeah, sure. I mean,
Right. They do have to leave. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was about to say, despite this being for the kids, I suspect there's going to be a very small selection of collectors who's probably going to get these also.
Sure. And I find it interesting that it's mostly the movie Guardians minus Gamora.
Mm-hmm. In fact, I don't see there's Storm. That's about it. And Storm and Rogue.
No, you mean X-Men? There's Cyclops on the far left.
Well, no. I meant female.
Oh, just women. Oh. Yeah, female
And
characters.
Mantis.
Yeah, Storm and Rogue and Mantis.
Yeah. Anywho. Yeah, that's the thing.
And Cosmo.
Well, I guess if they're going for that version,
If
sure.
they're going
Yes.
with the MCU version. Yeah,
Yes.
if they're going with the MCU version, Cosmo.
Indeed. Real quick, shout out to the homie Big Rob 29 who's in the chat talking about shout out to Eclectic. One definitely has to go. Nice. He also said earlier about that Nerf movie talking about if it was played straight, it could be funny, but it's a risky one. I'm like, yeah, that's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Bone creator Jeff Smith cancels book tour after suffering a cardiac arrest. He's 63 years old. He suffered a cardiac arrest like last week, forcing him to cancel his upcoming book tour. So he has been on his Dawn of Men tour since February of this year. His first tour with his publishing house, Cartoon Books, and a number of years promoting his new collection, Tukey. However, his recovery will be long enough that he will not be able to continue the tour this year. So, and there's a statement that was made about the situation. But yeah, hopefully he gets
That's
better.
too bad. Get better soon.
Yeah, indeed. Next up.
Alrighty, so you can watch a video here on tformers.com. No shout out to them. So RoboSen, according to them, is not done milking the auto-transforming Optimus Prime figure. Already there are 2 different scales, a trailer, and now an AI base. They posted an official reveal trailer on their Weibo channel announcing the new AI Smart Base. Wow. So what does this base do? It has loads of features that hopefully will allow the robot mode to finally be displayed or hung up. It would seem, as it is not shown on the stand yet, it looks like there are RGB color controlled lights, app integration, charging, and more for what must be a really big and probably expensive accessory.
Yeah. Pass. In news.
Yeah, like you have an Optimus Prime right now. If you had one right now, you'd be like, yo, I'm getting that.
No, I'm not. Oh, no, I wouldn't. I absolutely wouldn't. I absolutely will. I don't need a base. The Joker can stand on his own. But boy, I wish I did have one. Anyway, or the Grimlock. That joke was pretty sweet too. But in news that Agent 70 reminded me of prior to the show.
Right, because it dropped this week.
Yes. Hasbro's Star Wars Chatterback Chopper animatronic has been nominated for an Action Figure of the Year in the Toy of the Year Awards. Also, it was announced, well, that was announced this week by the Toy Association, but also pre-orders for this particular toy is on. You said it was still on pre-order, right?
Yes, it's still available for pre-order. So get out there, folks. Follow this link and take a look at this Chatterback Chopper animatronic action figure.
So yeah, it looks cool. Sounds like, if it's it sounds pretty cool. And it does wave his arm and does make sounds, and you can interact with it in certain ways. So that's pretty sweet. Just in time for Ahsoka. No coincidence. None whatsoever.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Next up.
Dungeons and Dragons explains the lack of high-level adventures and future plans to support high-level characters. So, we get this from lead rules designer Jeremy Crawford, and the article starts with some commentary that most Dungeons and Dragons campaigns never reach a high level, but that doesn't mean that Dungeons and Dragons has plans to abandon it. So at Gen Con earlier this month, comicbook.com had the chance to speak with Jeremy Crawford, the lead rules designer of Dungeons and Dragons. And in this interview, they talked about that the D&D design team has often said that according to various surveys, most campaigns end around level 10. And they asked whether that's why there's so little adventurers that venture into the upper levels of the game. So, you can take a look at this interview for more.
Yeah. There's a trailer for a new Walking Dead game, Walking Dead Destinies. Let's see. It says what makes this game so interesting is that it allows players to reshape the events of the first 4 seasons of the hit television show. So it is a third-person, narrative-driven action-adventure game which takes place inside the Walking Dead television series, which I'm sure that's what certain people wanted from those Telltale games back in the day. As far as from what I can tell. Anywho's, but this time around, the events are going to play out differently. According to Game Mill, players will be able to weave your own path through the series' events during certain key moments. The game will also feature over a dozen characters from the AMC series, including Shane, Michonne, Carol, Daryl Dixon, and more. The game will be released on basically all platforms. No when, though, because there's no date here. So, next up.
It's Kyle Katarn time. Dark Forces Remaster gives you a cleaned up 4K view of an absolute classic. So you get better cutscenes and resolutions, but all of the same Star Wars, but actually Doom gameplay.
Yeah, basically. So I'm looking forward to this because Night Dive Studios, they just came out with their Quake 2 remaster, which is pretty good from what I played a little bit of. And I have played Dark Forces 4, and if they do anything like they did with Quake and Doom remasters that they've done, I think it was Doom. It says System Shock. I'm sorry. I don't think they did a Doom one yet. Regardless, if they do the same thing like they do with those ones, people who already own the game might be getting this for free if you own it on Steam, which would be great. But if you don't, hey, those remasters have been pretty good, I will say. So if you hadn't had a chance to play Dark Forces, which was a pretty good game, no lightsabers, but hey, still pretty damn good. Yeah. Charles Martinet is no longer the voice of Mario. He is stepping back from the role of the voice of Mario and into a new role as quote-unquote Mario ambassador, in which he will continue to, quote, travel the world and share the joy of Mario. The company, Nintendo that is, said in a statement posted on the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, according to this article, which that's kind of funny. So yeah, hopefully we're not going to get what's his face as the main voice of Mario now, and also there are Mario games coming out, and brand new Mario games coming out. So I wonder who's going to do the voice, unless that was one of his last ones. So, oh wait, actually, this answers that question. Apparently, he's not going to be in that next the next couple of Mario games, or so. Interesting. All right, next up.
All righty. Last thing is, that was our last story.
No, actually, there's one more. Sorry, I didn't put it in the lineup, but I'll do it.
I was about to say, I don't see it. Where is it?
No, I didn't put it in the thing.
Oh, okay.
But award-winning game Marvel Snap comes to PC. Technically, it already was in PC, but it's an actual made-for-PC version that have just come out. So there's a new cinematic that goes along with it that's anime inspired, along with their new season, which apparently is anime inspired. So you can check that out in this article. And if you've been playing Marvel Snap, you can go and probably log on and get the new login stuff, including a Devil Dinosaur variant and stuff with it. So yeah, they definitely redesigned the joint, and it looks pretty different from the old look. Almost intimidating, but still, you can get around with it. So, and that was in the past week. In fact, if you are on Twitch, you can still watch us, but they are doing Twitch drops for Marvel Snap, where if you watch a couple of hours of people playing the game, certain people who have drops on playing the game, you can get stuff for it. So, check that out if you feel so inclined to do so and you like that game. And that, folks, is actually the end of our news section. Can we get the last ad read, please?
Sure. Before the last ad read, we actually have a little bit of physical toy corner. Just a little, because it's really not comic book related, but it's very much adjacent to some of the things we talk about.
What's in the box?
What's in the box is actually this variant Ted Lasso Funko Pop. I'm going to hold it up right here. I may have to turn off my virtual background here, folks. For the viewing audience, the listening audience will just have to wait for me to describe this in very much Netflix subtitles. So what I'm holding up is the Ted Lasso variant pop figure. I don't know if this is a bobblehead. I think this is just a pop figure. And it's a vinyl figure. It's not a bobblehead. But he's holding a version of the Believe sign. And I was very happy to get this. This is going to take up a spot right here on my bookshelf in my background. Happy to have this. Ted Lasso. Highly recommend this on Apple TV Plus.
Okay.
All righty. And our last ad read of the night, as I get my background back up, is for Amazon. Help us keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment that helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today.
And with that, folks, we come to another end of this here show. Thank you, everyone, for coming out, whether it's live for the recording or after the fact, watching the video or listening to the audio version. We appreciate you much. We will be back next week with more Ahsoka talk, probably more Superman talk, and whatever else comes to pass on that front, but also whatever we get into with the comic books of the week, which...
Right, we'll be leading into the Labor Day weekend.
Indeed. And I have not seen what books are coming out, so it may be kind of a light one, or maybe not. We don't see.
Right. Yeah, maybe the week after will be light. We'll see what the case is.
Yeah. That being the case, wait. Dragon Con, I believe, is this weekend. So if that is the case, if I'm not mistaken, anybody going out to Atlanta for Dragon Con, have fun, taking a bunch of pictures. Yeah, it's good stuff. One of these days I get back over there. And with that, I have been Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nino Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. PC and excuse me, nope, no, I don't want to skip him. Agent _70 on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, because I forgot to mention that.
Threads! Come on, update the app.
Now, PCN _dirt on Twitter, Pop Culture Net on Twitter, popculturenetwork.com, and all his umbrella sites they're in. And of course, last but never least, Tim, TOGG98 on Twitter, Comic Book Chron on Twitter, which is the Comic Book Chronicles Twitter account, News Nerds Need on Twitter, newsnerdsneed.com, and more importantly, he's over at comicbook.com, writing his face off under the name Timothy Adams. Go check his stuff out. I think he might be on leave at the moment, but yeah, you know, he'll be back. Bookmark him. You can find this here podcast on the Coastal Podcast Network. That's ESPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal Podcast Network's SoundCloud page.
Make sure to hit like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, you can also find us recording every Thursday night, 9:30ish p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the YouTube channel of the Kliq Nation. That's youtube.com/thekliqnation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles, like some of the lovely people have tonight. We appreciate you.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and hit the notification button so you know when we are broadcasting live.
And with that, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.
Now that's comedy.